Hey movie freaks, welcome back to my channel. So if you are new here, there are going to be spoilers. So if that does not bother you, let's go ahead and jump into my review of Scream 6. Hey guys, so in editing this video and going back, having a chance to reflect on my decisions of the video, I have been super impatient on filming this video. It has taken me since the 9th when I went to the fan preview. And I also wanted to mention they were giving out these cool posters at the fan event. So I hope you guys got one. Also, there are going to be tons of spoilers in this, like who the killers are, who's been killed, like the entire timeline, which, you know, I always do. But I apologize for the lack of enthusiasm in the video. I was just totally done. So I hope you guys enjoy and you like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Enjoy. So this is the 4th time filming this, so pardon me if I'm not as enthusiastic. I have my notes and I'm going to be referring to them. I'll be all over the place. Because I did write some things down afterwards, and it's gonna be a little long because like I said, it's all over the place. So Scream 6 came out this year in 2023 and it is rated R. It runs 2 hours and 3 minutes and is directed by Matt Bertinelli and Tyler Gillette. It stars Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, Courtney Cox, Mason Gooding, among others. So in this next installment, the survivors of the Ghostface killing spree in Woodsboro leave everything behind and try to start new and everything fresh in New York City. So we open up in a busy bar and we meet Laura. Laura is a professor at Blackmore College where she teaches about slasher movies, which we find that out by her telling her blind date over the phone. He says he's embarrassed that he is lost and he calls her to try to figure out where he is and how they can get together. He kind of coerces her outside and into an alleyway, which he calls her out on, saying that she's incredibly stupid for going out into an alley even though she teaches about slasher movies. His voice turns into Ghostface, and that's when he calls her basically an idiot for going into that dark alley. He comes up behind her and slashes her, and then he takes off his mask, surprisingly. Now when I was in the theater, I couldn't figure out why they were doing this, and I was so confused. It's like, how are they going to do this? Is he a copycat? What's happening? We then follow Jason back to his apartment. He calls out for his friend Greg. I don't know if it's just his friend or his partner or how that works, but he finds that he's not there and he puts his mask up on one of those foam heads, basically like a little shrine, and sits down, relaxes, and then he gets a phone call from Greg. But it turns out that he is using Ghostface's voice. Jason is a little bit irritated, saying, hey, we're not supposed to be using Ghostface on each other. But he does. Now, Jason is played by Tony Revolori. And a lot of people had predictions on what he was going to be playing in this movie. So Ghostface starts playing hot and cold with Jason, and he ends up going to the fridge where he finds his friend Greg hacked up in the fridge. Then we get Ghostface behind, killing him, and then our famous Scream slash opening into the actual movie. Alright, so now we're on the streets of New York. It's possibly a couple nights before Halloween. Everybody's all dressed up, they're going to parties, and we meet Ethan, who's played by Jack Champion. He is Chad's roommate at college and friends with, Tara and Mindy and everybody in that friend group. He passes Tara, who's on her way to a party, and Ethan asks where Sam is. Tara replies she would not be caught dead at one of these parties. So they go their separate ways, and they kind of insinuate that Ethan has a crush on Tara. So we then end up with Sam at her therapist, and he needs more information to be able to help her. So she shares. She says, hey, my father was a serial killer, and I murdered my boyfriend because he was trying to kill me, and when I did, it felt right. This obviously scares the therapist, who is played by Henry Czerny, and he says he has to report it. This angers Sam, and she storms off. Now, Sam arrives back at her apartment, finding out that Tara's not there. And we meet her roommate Quinn, who's played by Liana Liberato. Quinn Bailey. Okay, remember that. Quinn Bailey. It'll be important later on. She tells Sam where Tara went, and Sam goes and looks for her, of course. We end up at the party that Tara's attending. I'm not sure if it's like a frat party or what it is. We have Mindy, played by Jasmine Savoy Brown. Annika, played by Devin Nakota, which is Mindy's girlfriend. And Chad, played by Mason Gooding. And then Ethan, played by Jack Champion. Chad and Ethan are trying to pick up on some girls. Mindy and Annika are just, you know, hanging out. And some douche frat guy is trying to take Tara upstairs and get her drunk. Mindy sees this and tells her brother Chad, and Chad's like, hey, this ain't happening. They get into some type of altercation. So Sam arrives and kicks said frat guy in the balls. They go back outside, and Tara is obviously upset at Sam for what she has just done. She feels smothered by Sam, and this upsets Sam. She's just trying to protect her. Some girls walk up on her and throw a drink on her, and they call her a murderer, saying that she basically framed Richie and Amber, and she's the actual serial killer. They record it, so that'll be important later on in the movie. They end up back at the Carpenter sisters' apartment, you know, hanging out, and Tara's upset, of course. Quinn goes in to try and comfort her and tells her that her father was the same way, and he even transferred. He's a police officer, which is Detective Bailey. He's a police officer, and he transferred to New York to keep an eye on her when she went to college. Her brother had died previously, and I didn't get that when I heard it the first time, but it'll be more important later on. Chad then comes in, begins talking to Tara, saying, don't be mad at Sam. It's not her fault. She's just trying to keep you safe. They have a moment where they're about to kiss, and Quinn cock blocks them when she walks in to get her phone, so they don't end up kissing. While they're all hanging out, Annika calls everybody's attention to the TV where there's a news broadcast about the murders at Jason and Craig's apartment, and how they find Ghostface memorabilia, masks, stuff like that in the apartment. Sam gives Tara 10 minutes to get all her stuff ready so they can leave, and Tara's like, you know what, you're not ruining my college education. We don't even know that this has anything to do with us. Let's just hold off. Sam tells Quinn to call her dad to figure out if they can. Sam tells Quinn to call her dad, who's the police officer, to see if they can tell them anything about what's going on. And her dad then says, you know what, Sam, I was about to call you. We need you to come down to the station. Then they show a scene where her ID is at the crime scene covered in blood. So Sam heads out to the station and Tara follows. Sam doesn't like the idea, but they go together. Right as soon as they're leaving, they are attacked by Ghostface, and they're chased into that bodega scene that is in the trailer. This scene is intense, okay? After this, we find Kirby at the station, and she begins telling Detective Bailey that she's an FBI agent and she's been following Sam and Tara's online activity for a while. The Carpenter sisters show up, and she knows Kirby. They used to go to school together. She was a freshman when Kirby was a senior, so they know each other. Now, when they leave the station after everything's said and done, news reporters basically ask if Sam has an alibi. They ask Tara if she's afraid of her sister. And then we hear Gail in the background. She, of course, has been living in New York for a while now, and, of course, reporting. Sam is obviously upset with Gail, just like in the first one. Gail writes a book about what happened in 5, even though she said she wasn't going to, and called Sam unstable. Sam tries to punch Gail, but she dodges it, but then Tara comes in and punches her, and they leave. So, this is going to be the part where everything's all over the place. I have filmed this 4 times already, and I just want to get it out there. I just cross your fingers and hope we do. So I do want to say that this is still a comedy. It still has the fun parts in it, but it has that terror aspect in it. So I was glad to see that, because that's what Scream's kind of famous for. We do get the Billy Loomis visions, which I love. I love the fact that they were able to find a way to bring him back, because they never really talk about him or Stu. And being that Sam is Billy Loomis's daughter, they should bring it back. I just hope that they bring her mother in and talk about that whole backstory. I wish they would do like a prequel as Maureen, you know, her life before, a little bit before, and then how it ended up to where it ended up in the original Scream. I think that would be a good movie. We get the much awaited meetup with Mindy and Kirby, the 2 film buffs. It would have been cool if we had Randy there, but we didn't. You know, they basically have their who knows this more moment, which is pretty cool. And I love how they were able to tell us what Kirby's been up to and how she got up to where she is now, how she's grown, what happened to her, basically not define who she is, but get her to where she is now. She didn't want to be the victim anymore, and she wanted to help people so it didn't happen to them. I feel like they could have utilized her more. They didn't. She wasn't even in that many scenes. There was a lot of build up to her actually coming back, and they should have added her more. Hopefully they'll do that in 7. Gail does mention Sydney in this. Sydney has taken Mark and the kids in a safe place, and she didn't want anything to do with it, which is smart on her end. And I was really upset when they said that Sydney wasn't going to come back for 6, but with the whole plot and everything, I just feel like they would have shoehorned her, and she would just be there to be there. She had no connection to the plot at all. The only connection that she had was to the Ghostface mask that has terrorized her for so long. But to the people that, you know, that whole connection, she really didn't have anything. Just like Gail, they shoehorned Gail in this as well. She really wasn't in there either as much, basically just to get stabbed. So once Jason revealed himself after that first kill, I was so confused. I was looking at my friend and I was like, what just happened? But I love how they took that opening scene to the next level. And the first kill, in the, you know, always in the first kill, they always die. And then in 5, we have it where she survives, and then now we have that fake death. And in 4, we had all of those, you know, the stab movie opening deaths. So I mean, they're upping it every time, so I can't wait to see what they're gonna do. There is no shortage of blood and gore in this, and the kills are up in your face. There's a few guttings, and they actually made me wince in some. Like, I looked away in a couple of them, which is really rare for me. Like for some of the stab scenes, like Gail and Mindy, they should have died. I'm glad they didn't, but they should have died with those stabbings. And Annika, she was semi-gutted, and she was able to live for that long, enough to get halfway across the ladder. Halfway across that ladder. So I mean, it kind of didn't make sense. I think Gail would have went out gracefully in this one, but they didn't. 6 basically left more of an impact on me than 5. 5, I was really angry with the plot, and I am glad in this one that they were able to incorporate it with something that mattered. And I also wanted to mention, Cotton said that Gail is like a cat. She has more lives than a cat, and basically she does. She's been through a lot and she's not dead. So I just wanted to mention that. So Scream 6, as of the time that I'm filming this, has made on opening day 19.3 million. That could be different. If I can find it, I'll put it somewhere on the screen. So I was more excited to see 6 than I was 5. I really was excited to see 5 because of the whole fact that they were returning to Woodsboro, but 6 just, it gave me more excitement than 5. And like I mentioned, I was upset about Sid not being there, but once I saw the whole thing, it really didn't matter. And I felt it was kind of like a reset for Sam and Tara to make it seem more about them. The change in the atmosphere worked out perfectly. I thought it would be a little bit of a disaster because it's in New York. But even though New York is so huge and full of people, the whole situation makes you feel claustrophobic and small and just so alone. And it worked perfectly. The characters in the movie, like Tara and Sam exceeded my expectations. They were up there. They were really good, especially Tara in 5, but they did amazing in this movie. The only problem is I didn't feel their sister connection as much, but they both did amazing, and I absolutely love the twins. Mindy and Chad are by far my favorite characters, and when Chad got stabbed, I was devastated. Not like when Dewey was stabbed and died, but I was really upset because of how close Tara was getting, like how close Tara and Chad were getting. And the atmosphere was way more intense. You could cut it with a knife. And more believable than in Woodsboro in 5. I just think that they've changed location of Woodsboro so many times that nothing looks familiar. I wish they would just keep it how it was, like in the first one. No, I know that's hard, but I was a little bit upset about the plot, only because I didn't see it coming. I knew it was going to be Ethan, but I was about 90% sure it was going to be Detective Bailey, just for the things that he said and how everything played out. But I did not believe it was going to be Quinn, and I didn't believe that Detective Bailey committed any of the murders because they were so brutal, they were ruthless, and I just didn't think he had it in him, and I thought it was more so Ethan that was going to be doing more of the killing. And I loved how they incorporated all that memorabilia, and that's another thing. They kind of insinuated, they said, somebody must have access to all of this stuff, like a detective or a police officer, to be able to get all this stuff, because it's all evidence. Like, it still has blood on it. It's still, they keep evidence for a long time. So, I mean, somebody had to have that access. So that kind of insinuated who it was. And I love how they left the mask with the DNA of each killer when they killed somebody, kind of like in 3 when they left the pictures of Maureen Prescott. I thought that was really inventive. And the shrine, I love the shrine. I love how they incorporated everything back into the movie. I know that I complained in my Scream 5 review about the killings in 5, that they were more like you could see everything and it didn't leave any imagination, but it actually worked in this film. It worked really well. like I said, I winced when all the killings were happening. And I love the whole sequel to the prequel idea by Mindy. I love the new rules. I didn't write them down, but I'll put them here on the screen. And I love how each movie they have their little rules that they have to abide by. Whenever Ghostface was on screen in their presence, I actually did feel terror. I wasn't like that with all the other movies because I knew it wasn't, they didn't feel as scary as this Ghostface. I feel like he's the best Ghostface so far. Not as the character, not as a person, but the actual Ghostface that commits the murders. He's the most ruthless, and I feel like he did an amazing job and how they portrayed it. The subway scene and the bodega scene, intense. Like those ones, they had me and my friend were just like, oh my god, go, 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 you know, like it was just super intense. There are 3 of them. You know, there have always been 2 or 1. The majority have been 2. But I love the part where Bailey was standing there and then a ghost face on this side and then another ghost face on this side. That was iconic. I really liked that scene. I really liked how they made me believe, I don't know if they made everybody else believe this, but they made me believe that Sam could actually go dark. Her facial expressions and her shifts, like her temptations, went by back and forth so quickly with Billy, her visions. And who knows how long she's been having these, because they don't mention that, but they do insinuate that she could actually go dark. And another thing that I really enjoyed was the suspect board at the police station, where it had previous killers and how they're connected. I really like that. I want to get a screenshot of that. I thought that was super cool. And also knowing like that 5 people want to kill you at the same time is super terrifying. And I say 5 because Jason and Greg were planning on killing the Carpenter sisters, and then Quinn, Ethan, and Detective Bailey, they all wanted to kill her. That is terrifying. But I also, like I said before, I really wanted to see more of Kirby. I hope they do that in the next film. And I wanted to mention this, that at the reveal, they wanted Sam to put on the mask, her father's mask, because this would be like the perfect ending. And I actually pulled this up, one of their teaser posters. I'll put a better picture right here, or a link down here so you could see. And I was looking at it and I'm like, where's Sydney? But this is basically just killers and who have been killed and how they're connected. So I thought that was super cool. But with all that being said, I'm going to give Scream 5. With all that being said, I'm going to give Scream 6 4 butcher knives as of right now. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun movie, and I didn't really find anything wrong with it at the moment. I know I'll go back and do it. I am going to be doing a new ranking for the Scream movies, and also I'm going to be doing a ranking of kills in all 6 movies. Hopefully I'll be able to get this out because I'm really having a really hard time getting out. But if you've seen this movie, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, let me know down in the comments. Leave a thumbs up if you haven't done so already, and also subscribe if you haven't. It really helps the channel out. Now I also wanted to mention before I go, I know I always put what I'm most excited to see. They're mostly movies, but this one is actually a TV show that I'm watching. It's on Paramount Plus. It's called School Spirits, and new episodes come out every Thursday. So I think I'm on the 3rd or 4th episode, and it's amazing. I'm thinking about doing a review. I'm not sure if I will or not, but make sure you check it out. I'll leave a link down below for the trailer, and that's it. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
Turn it up a little bit.
Bloopers. Okay, anyways. So her blind date tells her. Her blind date tells her that he's embarrassed, he's lost, and he can't figure out where.
What are you doing?
Just restart the whole thing.
I'm trying not to cry. We need water. Okay.